The SCP Foundation likes to present itself as the last line of defense against the anomalous. That's not true. It never has been. Around the world, dozens of other organizations are buying, selling, worshipping, and weaponizing the exact same anomalies. Some of them used to be part of the Foundation. Some want it gone entirely. The Foundation calls them groups of interest. Today we cover the 10 biggest ones, and dozens more by name. In the Foundation's own terminology, a group of interest, GOI, is any organization involved in the paranormal world. That definition is broader than it sounds. Corporations, religions, government agencies, charities, even informal groups that meet online count as long as there's more than one member. The Foundation tracks all of them, allies, enemies, and everything uncomfortably in between. The Global Occult Coalition, founded in 1945 in the wreckage of a war most of the world never heard about, the Seventh Occult War, fought between the Allied Occult Initiative and the SS's own occult division, the Ahnenerbe Obscuracorps. When the war ended, no single nation trusted any other with what remained. So the United Nations built something new, the Council of 108. 108 of the most powerful occult organizations on Earth, all seated at the same table. Where the Foundation locks anomalies away, the GOC's instinct is simpler: destroy them. Their combat arm, Physics Division, deploys advanced orange suit exoskeletons built to fight anomalies the Foundation would rather study. Psyche Division handles diplomacy with the wider paranormal world. Ptolemy Division builds the technology the other two rely on. In 1970, the Foundation and the GOC signed a formal accord, an uneasy agreement to stay out of each other's way most of the time. It doesn't always hold. When the GOC once tried to destroy an anomalous chair, the attempt didn't erase the danger. It created a new one, a sentient pile of living mulch. The Chaos Insurgency, designated GSOI-002, the Foundation's own creation, turned against it. Here's something unusual. Even the Foundation's own hub page admits it doesn't have one official origin story. The most widely told version starts in 1924. The O5 Council quietly formed a covert task force staffed by members of MTF Alpha-1, the Red Right Hand. Its purpose: missions too ethically questionable for the Foundation's official record. Officially, it was a splinter cell that went AWOL. For 24 years, that lie worked. The task force secretly served the Council's own goals. Then, in 1948, the fiction became real. The task force actually defected, raiding Foundation sites, taking anomalies, and killing Foundation personnel for its own purposes. It renamed itself the Chaos Insurgency. Decentralized, coordinated through something called Delta Command, their stated goal not to destroy anomalies and not to hide them, to use them openly to reshape the world on their own terms. The Serpent's hand, small, leaderless, and in its own eyes, the only group actually telling the truth. Almost every other organization on this list wants the anomalous world kept secret. The Hand wants the opposite. They call the Foundation the Jailers. They have their own name for organizations that destroy rather than contain. Their headquarters isn't a building. It's the Wanderer's Library, an extra-dimensional archive that may not have an actual end. They move between the library and the ordinary world through secret paths they call the Ways. The GOC considers them a terrorist organization, with standing shoot-on-sight orders for their agents. Despite that, the Hand has repeatedly acted to protect knowledge, and to protect anomalous beings other groups would rather lock away or destroy. Marshall, Carter, and Dark Limited, a gentleman's club, an auction house, on paper, a perfectly respectable London business. Founded in London, its influence now reaches across Europe, the Americas, Russia, and China. Their business model is simple: acquire anomalous objects and beings, sell them discreetly to the highest bidder. The Foundation's own files describe them plainly, one of the most important pieces on the board of the anomalous world. They occasionally put other groups into check. they are never quite put into checkmate. Behind the polished presentation is a pattern of weapons dealing, drug trafficking, and, most seriously, the trafficking of anomalous human beings. The group most willing to actually confront them isn't the Foundation. It's the Serpent's Hand, who care nothing for MC and D's secrecy, and even less for its money. The Church of the Broken God. A religion built around a single, singular goal. Rebuilding their God, one recovered fragment at a time. Their deity is McCain, the broken god, believed to have been shattered in an ancient war. Every mechanite mission in some form serves that same reconstruction, recovering pieces of their god from wherever history scattered them. Their oldest and most committed enemies are the Sarkic cults, flesh worshippers whose entire theology stands in direct opposition to everything Mikan represents. According to Mechanite doctrine, it was the ancient Sarkic Empire that destroyed the civilization McCain once presided over. To this day, Church of the Broken God doctrine treats the flesh cults as demons to be fought when the end finally comes. Sarkicism, a flesh-worshipping religious movement founded thousands of years ago by a figure called Grand Carxist Ion. It isn't the name its own followers use. Practitioners call it Nelka. Sarkic was an old insult, coined by their enemies. The Foundation adopted that borrowed insult from the global Occult Coalition, who adopted it from the ancient Mekanites. Nobody asked the cults what they call themselves. Their core belief, flesh, can be reshaped, improved, and reclaimed by anyone skilled enough to understand it. Their goal is apotheosis, elevating humanity itself into something greater than it currently is. The movement split long ago into two very different traditions. Neo-Sarkic cults are urban and sophisticated. Proto-Sarkic cults are rural and primitive. Dr. Wondertainment. Nobody is entirely sure if it's one person or many operating under a single brand. What is certain, the company produces anomalous artifacts and entities designed to resemble children's toys. Every product is explicitly designed with children as the intended user. That single fact makes them one of the more quietly unnerving entries on this list. A toy company the Foundation actively monitors. Their relationships with other groups are surprisingly cordial. Friendly terms with the Serpent's Hand, supply agreements with Marshall, Carter, and Dark. The Unusual Incidents Unit, a real division of the FBI, tasked with America's low to moderate anomalous threats. Unlike the Foundation, the UIU is chronically under-resourced, a small division doing a very large job. Their jurisdiction includes 3 Portlands. An anomalous city, the Foundation's own operations are heavily restricted from entering. The Foundation still collaborates with them regularly, sharing custody of anomalous art and paratechnology recovered from the region. Wilson's Wildlife Solutions, based out of Boring, Oregon, a real town whose name undersells what actually happens there. Officially, a wildlife management company. Unofficially, one of the Foundation's quieter working relationships. They collaborate with both the Foundation and the UIU on anomalous fauna most people will never learn existed. Not every group of interest wants to reshape the world. Some just want to keep the anomalous wildlife from bothering anyone. Prometheus Labs, Inc., a private research corporation. Officially defunct since 1998. In life, they specialized in ambitious, ethically loose research, cloning, regeneration, and consciousness transfer among them. Their most infamous project used the recovered body of an ancient entity to build immortal, regenerating clone soldiers. When Prometheus Labs collapsed, the Foundation didn't just inherit their research. It inherited people who used to work there. We covered exactly what that project became in a full video on this channel, MTF Tau 5 Samsara, 10 groups. And the Foundation's own official index lists dozens more. The Factory, a rival to Dr. Wondertainment, mass-producing anomalous items with a distinctly older, more industrial style. The Horizon Initiative, a group whose complicated relationship with the Serpent's Hand shifts between cooperation and open conflict. The Fifth Church, the Oneiroi Collective, Herman Fuller's Circus of the Disquieting, The Three Moons Initiative, Mana Charitable Foundation, actively working to make anomalous goods available beyond just the wealthy. The Medicean Academy of Occult Art, one of the oldest institutions on this entire list, founded in Florence in the 15th century by Lorenzo de' Medici himself. GRU Division P, a Cold War-era Russian military unit that outlived the government structure that created it. Even a group calling itself simply Nobody, deliberately ambiguous about whether it's one person or an idea shared by many. None of these groups exist in isolation. The anomalous world is a web, not a set of separate boxes. MCND sells to the Serpent's hand sometimes. Other times the hand raids MCND to free what they've bought. The GOC and the Foundation cooperate under a decades-old accord and violate the spirit of it constantly. The Church of the Broken God and the Sarkic cults have been enemies for so long that neither fully remembers a time before the conflict. Dr. Wondertainment supplies MC&D. The Serpent's hand stays friendly with Dr. Wondertainment. Nothing on this list is simple. Every SCP file the Foundation writes assumes it has the anomaly. Often, it only has a claim to it. Somewhere, right now, the GOC is deciding whether the same object should simply be destroyed. Somewhere, the Serpent's hand is deciding whether the public deserves to know it exists at all. Somewhere, MC&D has already priced it. The Foundation was never the only authority in this world, just the one that writes the most files about it. 10 major groups, dozens more by name. And this still isn't the complete list. The Foundation contains what it can. Everyone else on this list has their own idea of what should happen to the rest. All information in this video comes from scpwiki.com, the official Groups of Interest Index, and each group's dedicated hub page. The SCP Foundation is a collaborative fiction project. Every group covered here is the work of individual authors shared under Creative Commons. The full hub pages are free to read at scpwiki.com. Next week on Shroudex Explain. Subscribe so you don't miss it.